Recomping your physique is much more complicated than people say it is. A lot of people live in a world of either you burn fat or you gain muscle, you cut or you bulk. And it doesn't have to be like that. For a lot of you, you want to gain muscle while losing fat at the same time. And this is going to show you how to do that. So a body recomp, a lot of you start in this position, you're overweight or maybe you're skinny fat. So the last thing you want to do in those situations is just decrease your size through losing weight and then end up with the same physique. So a body recomp comes in handy here. So what you do in this situation is you lose fat and gain muscle, and ultimately you're going to end up looking totally different, and the scales might not be that different, right? So how do we do this? Now, step one is through something called metabolic flexibility. This essentially means your body can burn fat for fuel, and most of you, I guarantee you, especially if you're watching this video, probably are not metabolically flexible. Your body only knows how to burn through carbs and glycogen. Now, what does this mean in terms of muscle mass and fat burning? Well, it means your body is going to crash in terms of energy levels. You're going to find midday crashes happen. You crave sugar more. And also, because your body doesn't burn fat for fuel effectively, it means it's in a state of being catabolic, which means muscle breaks down as well. So the way to break out of this is to stop being sugar dependent, right? So sugar, carbs, we're thinking bread, oats even, fruit. Now, fruit and sweet potato, for example, are carbs, and we use them in my diet plan, but it's not a main source of energy, right? You use it at specific times and your body can tap in and out of that when it needs to. For a lot of you, that's not the case. So what you need to do is become fat adapted. So the way to do this is by fasting. You will start by fasting maybe until 1 p.m, right? If you have your last meal at 8 o'clock the night before. Basically try and do at least a 16-hour fast. That is going to help your body burn fat for fuel, and then break your fast with some healthy fats. And by healthy fats, I mean any sort of saturated fats, so eggs, you've got butter, cheese, you've got fish, although be careful with tuna. So just bear that in mind. And when you get to this point, your body will naturally burn more fat for fuel. Right, and when you burn fat for fuel, the fat loss process is very smooth. It's not rocky. When you're not metabolically flexible, the fat loss process is this. You need to be in a harsh calorie deficit to lose fat, and then you end up losing muscle with it, and your whole size decreases and you feel like crap. When you're metabolically flexible, you lose fat and it's very linear. It goes down steady and you feel good and you maintain muscle mass, if not gain it, during that process. So second step is to manage your training and recovery. The biggest mistake I see guys make, especially with a body recomp, is they start training loads and doing especially catabolic training, which is hard, intense cardio. So running, right? They'll do too much swimming or just anything that's intense cardio work. What you really want to do is train 3 days a week, lift 3 days a week. So what I like to do is I'll do 3 days a week, maybe 30 sets per session. I'll go hard with the weights. I will eat plenty of carbs before the session. And that allows me to get the most out of each session. You look forward to each session, and then throughout the week you're burning fat because your body is in less of a stress state because you're not training as much. Stress accumulates through more training. And when you're doing a body recomp, that's a terrible idea. That's how guys go on a hard cut and they train too hard. They just end up shrinking in size and often rebounding from extreme hunger. This is a much steadier approach, and it's not slower either. It will actually be faster in terms of getting the physique that you want, because you're going to look better because you're actually gaining muscle while losing fat. So don't be that guy that just thinks, right, I'm going to train loads now. You're looking at the wrong area, right? The training needs to be simple, 3 times a week, following the right structure, little cardio. I don't even really do any cardio. If you want to do it for your own fitness, that's fine, but just make sure you're doing the right ones and you're managing it properly. You're not just doing loads of running and breaking your muscle mass down. And the third step is to fix your hormones, right? This is extremely important. If your hormones are out of whack, so your testosterone is low, your cortisol is high, your body is going to lose muscle mass at its first opportunity, and it's going to hold on to all the stubborn fat, right? So you see this a lot with guys with low testosterone. They have that skinny fat dad bod. Now, the way to fix this is through all of the lifestyle factors that I've mentioned on my content and in this video, with training 3 days a week, becoming metabolically flexible, eating whole foods that's going to nurture your testosterone levels. Things that destroy it is processed food, right? Processed food, overtraining, those are all terrible. And stress as well. So a high testosterone man is going to body recomp easily. A slight deficit, and then you're going to gain muscle, right? This is essentially what I've done over the past 12 weeks, and I've lost fat while gaining size. Meanwhile, I've seen people lose loads of fat and then lose loads of muscle mass with it, and they end up kind of shrunken and scrawny, and that's not how you want to be. So testosterone matters a lot. And the fourth step is a reasonable deficit. Yes, you still need to be eating less than you're consuming, and you don't want to just eyeball everything, right? The worst thing you can do is like, oh, I'm eating clean, I guess I've got high testosterone now, let's just eyeball it. You will stay exactly the same, right? Testosterone can sometimes take a couple of months to catch up to where it should be when you do everything right, and for a lot of you, you're not doing everything right. And at the same time, you still need to be burning that energy off, otherwise you won't lose fat. Believe it or not, burning fat for fuel doesn't mean losing fat, right? You can, I mean, I've had a client, Daniel, who was on the carnivore diet, who didn't lose fat because his calories and his energy that he was consuming was still very high, so his body fat stayed the same. Burning fat for fuel just means the process is a lot smoother. So you still need to manage your quantities. You don't need to hyper track everything, weigh everything, but be aware, right? Be aware. A lot of you struggle with that. You struggle with that aspect and that consistency. But at least you know what it takes to do the body recomp. And that is pretty much everything you need to make sure you can change your physique from skinny fat to strong, lean and muscular without either ending up skinny or just shrinking in size.